with the Hollywood bottom line bringing yet another unnecessary sequel to us next summer, I thought that now was as good a time as any to talk about one of the most popular sci-fi franchises of all time. Not only were the Terminator films significantly darker than works like Star Wars, but they served as a commentary on a very real concept, technology and the potential of artificial intelligence. The original 1984 classic, directed by then newcomer James Cameron, revolves around an ordinary woman named Sarah Connor, who is just trying to get by in life as a waitress. Suddenly, an imposing figure appears seemingly out of nowhere. Having traveled through time from the year 2029, this man is actually a cyborg, programmed for the sole purpose of killing Sarah. Saving her life is a soldier named Kyle Reese, who explains that an artificial intelligence network called Skynet will eventually wage a nuclear war on mankind, leaving the few survivors to form a desperate resistance against the machines. Leading said resistance is John Connor, Sarah's yet-to-be-born son. So, Skynet sends this Terminator back in time to kill the mother of its enemy. In response, Connor sends Reese back to protect his mother and keep hope alive for the future. First off, the performances are just stellar. The actors here take this material very seriously, with not one person treating it like some cheesy sci-fi movie. Linda Hamilton is given the most visible arc as Sarah, doing a great job of showing a gradual progression from the vulnerable waitress to the hardened mother of the future. If the role was put in lesser hands, this could have easily been just a screaming damsel. However, Sarah remains both relatable and likable, naturally doing whatever it takes to stay alive, and having very believable interactions to every scenario. Speaking of relatability, Michael Biehn is also excellent as Kyle Reese, who is refreshingly not a stereotypically muscle-bound 80s action star. He feels more like an everyday soldier than someone like Stallone, and he's definitely a better dramatic actor. Several scenes involve Reese having flashbacks to his time in the hellish future and trying to cope with being in a setting that is utterly unfamiliar to him. Biehn conveys all of the emotion, doubt, and intensity that you would expect, and he does it without a word of dialogue. In addition, his sorrowful recounting of his experiences, as well as his completely straight-faced exposition, really helps you get emotionally invested. His chemistry with Hamilton definitely helps their scenes together and provides a love story that I actually got into. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger has become the subject of many a punchline, whether it be through his consistently corny one-liners or his cartoonish deliveries. However, he is pretty menacing as the titular Terminator here. A lot of that has to do with the body language. His smooth and, for lack of a better term, mechanical movements really do seem like they are coming from a cyborg. He too has several scenes with no dialogue. He gets by on just his movements and by interacting with his environment. The supporting cast also does a fine job, due in large part to the script. Paul Winfield and Lance Henriksen as police officers are actually competent at their jobs, picking up on the pattern of murders and coming up with a way to get in contact with Sarah. Earl Bowen is entertainingly obnoxious as criminal psychologist Dr. Silberman, condescending in a way where you just love to hate him. On an unrelated note, I want you to check out Bill Paxton's hair. As silly as it may look, it's still not as ridiculous as the reverse mohawk of today. One aspect that really makes this movie work is the subject matter that it tackles. Unlike Avatar, where the messages are practically spoon-fed to the audience, the themes here are weaved around a suspenseful story. You could choose to take this movie at face value and still get an entertaining experience out of it, but the fact that it uses artificial intelligence and technological advancement as a backdrop gives it so much more dimension. There is a sprinkle of sci-fi thrown in, but the question remains, how reliant on computers will we eventually become, and will it be our downfall? On top of that, the film also works extremely well as a thriller. Part of that has to do with the concept. At one point, Winfield's character tells Sarah, "You're in a public place, so you'll be safe." We know that's not true. This is a machine. It has nothing to lose, no reason to hesitate, no signs of fatigue, and is nearly invincible. This makes for an added layer of fear that would not be present if the assassin was a human. In addition, Brad Fiedel's 80s techno-esque score is hauntingly subtle. using only a few notes in repetition, yet somehow pulling off some chillingly industrial music that goes well with the subject matter. Even the action scenes hold up, making great use of practical effects and vehicular stunt work. I suppose one area that could be criticized as somewhat dated are the effects. Some of them really do stand out, like the stop-motion endoskeleton in the climax. However, this being a machine after all, I think it's oddly fitting. I have the same admiration for Stan Winston's puppetry and animatronics, which are extensively detailed and are a testament to practical effects of old. Looking at some of the chaotic scenes in the future, you'd never guess that this film was made on a budget of $6.4 million. The Terminator is a suspenseful, fast-paced, emotionally gripping, and violent venture that sports terrific performances, thrilling action sequences, and thought-provoking themes that make it a masterpiece of science fiction that is just as great now, if not more so, as it was 30 years ago.